Recording in progress.
Welcome to the Real Estate Den, episode 19. Today we have Austen from Vancouver slash Washington slash Oregon. And then today we have also Wendy from Florida slash Wisconsin. So welcome guys. Thanks for having
Okay,
for being on.
Thanks for
Um,
having us.
for having us.
Great. Let's just get right into it. Wendy, tell us a little bit about you and what brought you into the industry and why you picked real estate.
Oh gosh, it is a journey. So I'm going to try to give you the Cliff Notes version, but
Here's the journey with you. Take us on it.
how long do you have? So my name is Wendy Schultz. I am the founder of a vacation rental consulting and management firm called The Simple Life Hospitality. The website simpleliferentals.com, and we manage vacation rentals in Wisconsin, where I'm from originally, and a couple down in Florida where I currently live. So we have a company running in Wisconsin, a team running in Wisconsin. So I do go back and forth between the two states. I'm licensed in Wisconsin. For real estate down here in Florida, I have not gotten my license. I may do that. I'm not sure yet. But it's not required for vacation rentals, and I'm not sure I'm feeling that ambitious to get another license. So we'll see. But I am working on my broker's license in Wisconsin so that we can start doing long-term rentals too. But anyway, the way I got into this, so originally I worked in corporate, or I worked in a health system. And so I was working for this hospital and climbing up the corporate ladder, and then realized that it just was leaning up against the wrong tree. I didn't really want to work there, and I was burning out. So I decided to open a store. So I wanted to open a business. I didn't know what I wanted to open up. So I ended up opening up a retail store, which I had never worked a day in retail. So this was really a leap of faith. And long story short, that store was located an hour and a half away in a vacation destination near where I lived in Wisconsin. And I didn't want to drive back and forth to our house. So I ended up buying a vacation home that I could stay at when I was working at the store. But instead of staying there, which is what it was intended to do, we found out it was a lot more exciting to rent it and make some money on it. So like $200 a night, we were able to rent it out. And so we bought a second property next door, and thought the same thing, was we're going to start renting this one, or we're going to start staying in there, but instead we started renting it out. And so then we had two properties that we were managing of our own that we were doing very well with. So people started to hear that we were doing really well with managing our properties, and they didn't like the on-site property manager. So they came to the store and asked me to manage their property. And so that is really where it got started. Eventually, we ended up closing down the shop and going full-time into the property management. And now we are at about 120 properties that we manage.
Oh my God.
In Door County, yes, primarily Door County, Wisconsin, where we got our start, but we're also expanding to other parts of Wisconsin. And then I got my real estate license so that I could help people who were looking for a vacation rental purchase that property that typically we ultimately manage for them. So they were coming to us with a property after they had purchased it, and then sometimes the property wasn't well suited for a vacation rental, which we could have helped them nip that in the bud right away and find the right property. So that's where I got into all of this crazy business.
So you accidentally started investing in real estate. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What year was that you bought your first one and opened your store?
I think it was in 2015.
Okay, so this is all pretty relatively, I mean, I guess it is 2024, that is almost 10 years ago, but even though I feel like it was last year.
It does feel like it was last year. And I think like the first few years, it wasn't really serious. Like we just kind of did this on the side, but then probably in the last right before COVID, I would say, so 2019, 2019, 2018 maybe is when we started to get more serious. So, and that's when we started bringing on a lot more properties and building the business pretty large.
That's exciting. I love that. I love vacation. And so I'm so excited to talk about vacation rentals with you. Austin, like I mentioned off when we started, before we started recording, I've known you basically my whole life. And so I guess I never, tell me, I don't know the story of how you got into real estate actually. So take us on your journey too. Tell us how you got here. You were always going to do something, like you were always like, when we were younger kids, like he had a Palm Pilot, and I thought Austin was very cool that he had a Palm Pilot. I don't know what we were to-do listing at the time, but he had the to-do list. So
Were you even there for the BlackBerry days? I mean, like I had my first BlackBerry when I was 12. I had unlimited data. I had to pay $30 to my dad every single month for it. So I was busy running my pet care empire. I was making like $63 a month, and 50% of it went to my phone.
You're cutting edge.
So yeah, I mean, I've been running businesses since I was 12, running QuickBooks and spreadsheets, and I'm an absolute tech geek. So, well, the way I got into real estate, and I want to preface with, before I really got into it and started meeting some awesome people, I detested real estate. I thought realtors were the worst people on the planet. Like, I just wanted to find ways to take them down, get rid of them, fire them, put them in jail. I have now changed my opinion, kind of. But that was what I thought. So I always stayed away from the industry. In 2016, I was running my own little business, and I won't get into that because it was complicated, but I started working at one of our golf resorts here in Bend, Oregon. And I was working the front desk. So I was there from like 6 in the morning until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They do have an on-site real estate office. And so when people would come in and check in for their stay or check out, or they were just coming in to say hi at the clubhouse, I was constantly sending people over to the real estate office, and they were ready to go, interested buyers. And I'd never thought about getting a real estate license because I didn't like the industry and the people that I thought were the only people that I thought were in it. And so after I'd sent probably 5 or 6 ready to go buyers over to the real estate office, Leslie, who was the managing broker out there, walks into the clubhouse and comes to the front desk and goes, "Austin, do you have any idea how much money you could make with all the people you've sent me?" I'm like, "No, how much? What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, so we pay a 25% referral if you're a licensed broker." So I started doing the math as I'm sitting there making, $9.75 an hour and just being so much better at everything that I do than anybody else that works there. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like a lot of money. So I started on my real estate license. I got it done. It was 150 hours. Got that done in 3 weeks while I was sitting there doing nothing at the front desk. And Leslie walks back in, and I said, "Hey, I'm working on my real estate license." She goes, "What? What do you mean you're working on your real estate license?" I was like, "Well, you told me that I should, so I am." And she goes, "I've probably told 15 people to do that. You are the only one who has actually gone and done it." And I'm like, winning, what else is new? So I was gonna actually work for Pronghorn Realty or Real Estate. I forget exactly what their name was, but ended up not doing that and going back into the tech field. So I was working in retail, doing Apple sales and service, and did that for about 5-ish years, 5 years, something like that. As I was doing that, I still had my real estate license, and I started meeting agents who were coming into my door, ask for help. And so I ended up getting licensed with Keller Williams. I was the youngest broker at Keller Williams, Central Oregon. I think I was 21 or 22 at that point. And I was with them for a bit, and then ended up getting a job with a commercial firm. So NAI Cascade, I knew the owner actually through Simply Mac, it's crazy connected with these people. But I met Andy, the owner, and she ended up hiring me to do tech for them. And so we moved my license over there and just held it. And if I had a referral, I would pay 10%, and I got to keep the rest on top of whatever hourly I was billing them for the stuff I was doing. So really, really great woman to work for. Like, I still text her to this day and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing X." And she goes, "Well, that's dumb." Or she goes, "Great idea. Maybe do it this way." Amazing mentor, great person, love her family, love her kids. Like, she is the epitome of what a real estate agent should be. And she's super smart. She's a commercial broker, and she does phenomenally. So I was working with her. I think I was for 3 or 4 years, and then an opportunity came up to come back to Bend because I was living in Portland at the time. Opportunity came up to take over tech for Keller Williams in Central Oregon. So I did that for about 6 months, and I don't know like the nice way to say this without sounding really like derogatory, but some of the people that I met have no idea how to like turn their computer on or set up a contract or upload PDFs to a system. And I'm just sitting there pulling my hair out at these people that are making $350,000 a year and like literally can't upload a PDF. And I'm like, I have a real estate license. Why am I not doing this? Why am I helping you guys do this when I'm making nothing? So I ended up getting in like officially into the field. That was 2020, June of 2020. And I've been selling ever since. So last year before, God, time flies. 2022, I took over as the director of sales enablement for Engel and Volkers here in Bend. So I was not only running my own business, but I was training new agents on how to run their businesses, how to write contracts. I have to say, I think I do write one of the best damn contracts in the state of Oregon. So call me if you need help. And then I ended up deciding I wanted to purchase a property in Vancouver. And so I got my Washington license. So I'm a principal broker in Oregon and a managing broker in Washington, which in Florida will be a broker because we can't just have one term that classifies the licenses across the states. And I've been really fortunate to meet some awesome people. And yeah, I still have the opinion that some real estate agents are just the worst people in the world. But I have also met some of the kindest, smartest, most giving humans in the world. I love my managing broker in both states. They're amazing. They actually, Marcel in Washington is one of the owners in Bend. So I get to work with the same people on both sides of the border. And it's so much fun to be able to help people. And I have amazing clients. I think there's only 2 I've fired in the last 4 years. Everybody else, like I still talk to, I have 4 listings right now that are homes that I've sold in the last 4 years. So you take care of your clients, you do the right thing. You're not greedy. Like I've given a commission to make a deal happen. And it's so worth it at the end of the day because you get to see that smile on their face when they get the keys and they're in their house. And first time home buyers are so much fun. So at this point, I don't think I could ever leave because I don't know what else I would do that would, I mean, honestly, afford me some of the fun luxuries that I have become accustomed to. And also, I don't know what else would be, more rewarding than helping people with the biggest decision of their lives.
Absolutely. I love how both of you have had some really organic growth. Like Wendy was just like, I just bought this place and now I'm doing this Airbnb and people, kind of followed suit. And I mean, to only be really active for 4 years and then to have repeat business already, like you're definitely doing what you need to be doing with your sphere and keeping in contact. And I mean, you're memorable. So as long as you're memorable, people will remember you. Wendy, what is something that you brought from the medical industry before that you think has helped you with your real estate career now?
Definitely the lean training I had, like the Lean Six Sigma training, the efficiency training, also contract negotiation. My primary role in that business was to negotiate multi-million dollar contracts with insurance companies for the hospital. So we would negotiate payment terms and how we would file claims and things like that. And I think back now and they trusted me. I think I was 35 years old and younger when I was there, and they trusted me with these massive contracts with huge dollar amounts attached to it to negotiate them. And that was really cool.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
maybe slightly stupid, I don't know, but I did really well for them. But anyway, I definitely learned a lot about negotiating and also about just being really efficient and identifying ways to cut inefficiencies and think outside the box. Lots of different ways to negotiate with people and really work to bring people together to come to a decision, especially when you're on 2 different sides of a decision to be made and trying to just bring everyone together. So lots of great things I learned in that business. So I'm very, very happy that I did that, and it was all part of the journey that needed to get me to where I am today. So yeah, lots of great things.
Do you have a quick, like, what's a good way to become more efficient or get rid of inefficiencies? Like in real estate, like where should someone start if they're like, oh my goodness, I'd love to be more efficient? Like, what do you,
Yeah. Well, one of the things I try to identify is where people get stuck. Where's the bottleneck in this? Um, and and just so you know, I spend much more time in property management than I do doing real estate, like transactions. So, um, where I'm always identifying is where does this process get stuck, and trying to unstick it. So is there a way that if, for example, you may send over a contract and somebody's just sitting on it and you're like, well, what's the problem? And maybe it's just a phone call to say, hey, is there something you're missing? Or is there something that I can help walk you through that will help push them a little bit farther along a little more quickly? And if it's a matter of, for example, real estate photography, we use real estate photography in our vacation rentals. So sometimes I will get people who they want everything to be absolutely perfect. And then that holds up the sale for a while, or the us getting, in that case, to get properties live. So I'll just say, I'll pay, let's take the best pictures we can, or we'll, move crap over to one side and move crap over to the other side just to stage it. Because otherwise it just sits and sits and sits because people don't have their stuff together to be able to get it done. So just different ways to be able to take any process and just is there an easier way to move this process along quicker? Is there anything I can do to help move this process along?
I love that. And that's why you have all those properties you're managing now, because that's super important. I am not, I am not in creative in that aspect with like photos and things of that nature. I definitely am much more of a contract person myself. So I'm very happy you have that skill, because we need people in this industry who has that skills, because if it was just me, the pictures and the housing and the staging would look awful. Austen, what did you bring from your past experience in like tech, and like, is there any sort of skills you gleaned from that helped you in your real estate career now?
Yeah, so I mean, my background in tech is mostly retail and then service on the back end, like how to, fixing software and hardware issues. And I've always been very skilled in communication, and that is a huge thing in real estate. So when I was working with the Apple partner, we were fixing computers, and then I took over as the manager, and so I was having to not only fix things, but also explain why someone was being charged, why something wasn't working. So you're handling the happy people, the unhappy people, and a lot of it is just process. It's okay, if X, then Y equals 232. And so when you can explain how that works and why it has to be that way and why there's not another option in a way that de-escalates a really unhappy situation, you're going to get so much farther. And so having done that for so long and having dealt with some really fun business clients in the past, coming into real estate, even in more of a training role, I'm able to use that all the time. So I can get through negotiations pretty quickly. I know when to push. I know when not to. I know how to control my clients. And there are times where, actually, there was a situation last weekend where I'm not only controlling my client, I'm controlling the other broker, her client's realtor on the contingent home, and the broker of the buyer on their contingent home. And it's just like, do I have to do everything for you guys? But okay, sure, great. We all have a common goal, get these things closed. And the other portion of that is education. You can throw a contract at anybody, but if you can't explain why something is in the contract, if you don't know your contract, if you don't know the process like the back of your hand and could tell somebody basically in sign language, which I know Megan can, I would just look ridiculous. But if you can't do that for your client, then what in the world are you doing with your day? Take the time when you're not busy to read over those forms, know it all. When your client asks, you can go, yep, on line 324, it says XYZ, and here's what it means.
If you knew then what you know now in the beginning of your careers, what would you go back and tell yourself? And we'll start with Austin and then go to Wendy.
I would tell myself, you can do it. You don't need someone else to tell you how to do it. And you are worth so much more than what you think you are. And you don't need to discount yourself. I worked on a team when I first got into actively selling. And while I did learn a lot, I also, I made so much money for other people, and I learned some bad habits, which was to get the deal and discount yourself every time if you need to. So that's probably what I would tell myself is you're worth way more than you get paid. So don't give it up if you don't have to.
Awesome. Wendy?
I would say to relax, that everything is going to work out. You're going to survive this. And that everything works out for the best, because there are plenty of times and situations in my career that I thought the world was falling. And then a few years later, maybe even, just a few weeks later, I realized that was the best thing that happened. And thank God that happened. Otherwise, this particular thing wouldn't have happened. So I would just say trust in the universe handling everything. It's going to all work out. And just to relax, because there's so much stress that I've had in running a 24/7, 365 business that, has impact on mental health. It has impact on your physical health. So, in any way that you can just chill out, everything's going to work out fine. It's going to work out, I can't even say that, work out as it should. If I knew that, then I think I would be just so much happier and so much and I'm, I've had to come back from really having some burnout again in this business. And so now that I know that everything's going to be fine, it's going to work out, just chill out about it. It's so powerful.
It is something.
It's so easy to get burnt, so fast if you're not careful and on your computer till midnight. Wendy, I'm glad that you care about your mental health, because I just gave up. I'm in real estate. I give up. I'm screwed.
I think
Yeah.
it is this industry, yeah, like you said, it's so easy to just become a workaholic, and it almost rewards the workaholics in a way that is almost because I'm very much you have to work hard, you have to do your time, right, to get into it. But it's I always, when I see agents are like, oh my God, I never sleep, I never take any days off, I'm like, then you're doing something wrong. Aren't we in this business for freedom? And even still, because both of you live you live far away from where you're even really managing a lot of your business. And can you talk a little bit about how that is to sort of manage from afar?
So I can start. So it was nerve-wracking at first, really nerve-wracking, because I not only did I live, not like an hour away where I first started, or 2 hours away when I first started this business. I only was maybe 2 hours. I could always drive if I had to the property if I needed to. But then when we moved to Florida, then I really, this was a big deal. I couldn't just go to someone's house on a whim. It would be a big ordeal. So it was really nerve-wracking. We did have people that were, we call them boots on the ground. So we had someone, our cleaners nearby and everything like that. It was challenging at first to just relax into that whole thing where I couldn't just run in and save the day. I had to trust my people and build my people to be able to handle it. And what I realized over time is that 99% of what calls we were getting and the customer service needs that we had were able to be resolved over the phone. So we rarely needed to go. And we also put in measures in place to be able to say, if there is a lockout, here is plan A, plan B, plan C. So we have ways for people to not get locked out, and trying to have fail safes in place so that we're not having some of the issues that require people to go on site. Now we do have maintenance there. We have cleaners there, like I said, and there are people that can run to the properties, but knock on wood, we have in the probably 7,000 stays we've had, we have not had any middle of the night, someone had to run to the property. It was something that happened that could be resolved at night, in the middle of the night, and then the other things were just resolved during the day. From a perspective of managing a team from far away, you just have to find a really good team members, and you have to trust them, and you have to, put some parameters in the sandbox in which they can play, and then give them some freedom to do the job. And I do hire people who typically I know in some fashion, and then they're all excellent employees, and they all really take pride and ownership in the company. And so we are a company of about, I think there's 10 of us, and we love to hang out together, and we have fun together. So it works out very well. And they all, sometimes I might even tell them, like, no one's dying here. Like, I came from healthcare. It's like, no one's gonna die today if their vacation gets ruined. I mean, I have to kind of call them back in because they get really stressed out and pride in doing a good job. So I love my team for that.
Well, and that's just, I mean, I think we say it very easily, 120 properties. Like, if you were getting texted for every issue, like if you didn't have systems in place, you would be, I mean, it would be, I'm sure your life is still crazy, but like, oh my God, like, so very just excellent job having a team of 10 that you can kind of like keep and manage to keep those systems in place, that, like I said, allows you to not be, so connected to things. That's awesome that you love your team and you like to hang out. I feel the same about mine. And I think everybody should feel that way with who they work with.
Absolutely. And, that also goes back to what you were, how to become more efficient. And we identify our frequently asked questions, and then we'll try to build it into our listing. If we identify an issue that keeps coming up, then we try to, how are we going to prevent that issue from happening? One of them, again, is lockouts. Lockouts is a big thing. We do have Wi-Fi locks that we will change the code for every single guest. And we have problems with them, those stupid locks. They sometimes are the bane of my existence, but it provides a level of security for the property owner, for the guests. They like that whole thing. But our first line of defense is if the lock doesn't work, they call our emergency 24/7 calling or answering service. If they provide the information of where they're staying, they will give them a backup code. If the backup code, which is a hard coded thing, if the backup code doesn't work, then we've got a key hidden on site. So there's these different things that we've learned. So now with the company able to do that, we're able to be out of getting that phone call. So that's ways that we try to keep our team from burning out too, is to try to put in systems that will allow us to prevent issues from happening. And then if they do happen, to try to put some buffers in between them and the guest issue, because otherwise it is a 24/7, 365 business. It's intense.
Austin.
Yeah, going to piggyback on that. Delegation is a huge thing. I mean, I'm 3 hours and maybe 2.5 hours, depending on if I feel like putting it in sport mode or not. But I'm lucky because I can get down there pretty quickly. Like, I just got back from Bend on Saturday, and I'm headed back down there for an all day, like, listing appointments, client meetings, everything on Tuesday, and coming back Tuesday night. But yeah, delegation is a huge thing. If you can hand it off to somebody that you trust, it will make your life a lot better, because you do not physically have to do everything. You need to, plan your time. Like, I can't write contracts from sitting in the car. Trust me, I'd try, but that's not going to work. So if I can have, I have an agent that I actually trained 2 years ago, and I basically send anything and everything to him that I can't or don't want to handle in Bend. So like I've got 4 inspections going on today, and he's handling 2 out of 4, the other 2 that other agents dealing with. But I've got systems in place, and one of those systems is call James or send him a text and say, hey, show this house. Hey, open, can you answer this for the client? We use group chats as often as possible. And I am really, really bad. I'm a massive control freak. And so letting go of that control and letting someone else do something stresses me out, but I am trying to, in my old age, I am trying to learn new tricks and just allow other people to help. The other thing that's really helpful is when you have systems in place, like we were previously talking about, like I rename all of my documents when I get them and they go in a folder and they are all named exactly the same thing every single time. So if I'm looking for a doc, I can search my computer and it will come up every single time, because you do those minor things as you go versus having to go back and try to redo it all in one swoop. So
Oh, I'm
yeah,
so guilty.
delegation is the big one. I'm letting go.
It's so hard. And I think we all get into real estate because we are kind of control freaks. Like none of us want to be
Kind
told
of.
what to do.
Let's get real.
So
Kind of.
like that's where we did it. My experience with that, I've owned my brokerage since September 2019. I've had my own, but I was always in sales, right? And I started doing, sales. Now my husband has a license, and so that was always the plan. He does the sales, I do the management. And oh my God, I am such a controlling person. Like I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm a psychopath. Like this is so hard for me to like let things go. And it's my husband who's literally sitting right here. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like I can look at every document. Like it's just that mental part of letting go and control. But there's a lot of reward you get from that because you just can't get what you need to get done by yourself, and we kind of, so yeah, I feel not so alone when I hear agents struggling with that too. I'm like, yeah, me too. I don't like to give my control up.
Well, this is why agents all have like multiple wine memberships and start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like they need to let it go a little bit more. I mean, Megan, you specific. I mean, like we said, I've known you for a very long time. You are very good in sales. You know how to win. You have no problem picking up the phone and saying, "Hi, you're going to buy this today. So do you want to just sign it now, or do you want me to keep berating you?"
When are we meeting? Or yeah.
Right. And it's asking those questions, but for you, I can only imagine the control that you want to have because you are so good at it. And it's like, it's kind of like telling your children, okay, that's not how you do it. Hey, that's not how you do it. Well, that's not how mommy does it. Like you're very good at what you do. And I'm more than happy to let somebody else do cold calls all day long.
I've evolved in this because that is the only way to get freedom. And so I've had my own control issues, and I just recently put a CEO in place. So my company is being run by a whole team, and I'm semi-retired in quotation marks because I know this isn't something you can see, but yeah, so I'm having to let go of a lot of things, and it's not easy, especially when it's my baby and I don't want it to run into the ground. It's also my retirement plan. So this thing's gotta either grow to the point that it's going to be sold, and that's my retirement nest egg, or it's going to continue running and we earn money from that. But anyway, I've had to learn to leverage myself and put tasks in or people to do tasks that anyone else can do, and then only I do the tasks that I can do. And I'm still a work in progress with this because I'm still doing stupid stuff all the time, and I'm like, why am I doing this? But to be able to push down those things to the people that are capable, we just have to trust them that they're capable and train them to be capable. To be able to keep pushing that down, that's the only way you can get the freedom that you want in what we crave. That's what we're doing this for.
That's totally true. And getting rid of that sort of like martyr victim mindset too. Like I said, oh, I'm so busy. I got so much going on. Like, yes, we have a lot going on, but if you have, then that probably means you need to be reaching out and collaborating and working and doing those things we know we need to do. Let's talk about morning routines. What do you guys do for a typical morning? Do you have any rituals or anything that you do? Does it sort of vary day to day?
I get up. I lay in bed and try to force myself to get up because I am not a morning person. Like if I could write contracts at midnight, like all day, every day, I'm good. But if I have to get up early in the morning, not so much. But I get up, I get in the car. Well, no, I get up, I get dressed, then I get in the car. drive like 16 miles right now, one way to go get coffee. And I will sit at Pete's with my computer, just kind of look over emails. And that's kind of like my little office right now. And then I'll do that probably till 11 or 12. And then I'll get back in, drive home, and then just kind of chill out for a couple hours. And obviously I pay attention to my phone, but morning is coffee and check the emails and check all the docs and the contracts and deals. And try not to kill anybody before being caffeinated.
Like my morning routine is waking up next. Like,
Like literally.
That's
Wendy, what
really
about you?
That's really funny because I used to, when I first got into entrepreneurship, it was like 5 a.m. club, be up at 5, hustle, 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 get all this stuff done. Get in my workout, get in my meditation. And then I realized I'm really just kind of a rebellious person. I want to do it my way, and my way works because I have the numbers to prove it, but it's definitely not this like ambitious sounding thing. It's like, so I sleep in now to like 7:30, because I think sleep is so important, especially as I'm trying to get back my some of the health that I had struggled with in the last few years from going through COVID and going through a near bankruptcy, which is another story I'm happy to share. But anyway, so I get up and then I make up some coffee and I sit outside by my pool and I listen to the waterfall in the pool and just take in the nature. Probably spend a lot more time than I should on social media. I'm very unconventional. And then actually at 9 o'clock every morning, I have a business coach I'm part of a program that 365 days a year, he coaches us on mindset. So every morning at 9 a.m., I'm getting a healthy dose of mindset coaching. And then I will often speak to my other friends. I have a mastermind of a few other business women. And so we will call each other and talk through whatever might be going on that day. So I was having something going on this morning where my mindset was going against conventional, what everyone else knows in this world, and conventional accounting principles and things like that. And so she talked me through that. So it's usually a lot of mindset work in the mornings, and just taking it slow and then getting to work. But I'm semi-retired, so work looks a little different now.
I absolutely love that. And I think, we all probably spend a little more time on social media than we should, but I mean, that's kind of like how we don't read the newspaper anymore. You know what I mean? Like that is literally how we get our news and our updates on the world these days.
Well, and social media too has been a huge feeder of business for me, and maybe it has for you as well.
Absolutely.
Just being out there and talking about what I do in my life even is enough to at least get people to be interested. And then, oh yeah, we do vacation rentals, and then people are thinking about me when they're renting their property next time, or renting a property, or they have a property and they want to rent it out, they're going to contact me. So I don't think it's all wasted, but
Oh, I think like even because I have an 18-month-old and a baby now, and a 19-month-old now, and like everybody's all like, boo, screen time, this is bad. And I'm just kind of like, I think that there's like moderation for everything, right? Like my daughter is not going to be able to avoid a screen. She was born in 2022. There were screens effing everywhere. Everything's a screen. So
Yep.
like I can make sure that like the screen has, learning and colors and like what she sort of needs, but you can spend your time on social media looking at the gossip and the crap or whatever, or you can spend it, cultivating business. And so I don't think that like it's fair to say something like all social media is bad, because it's not. I mean, there's even ways to make revenue on social media in addition to like getting leads. You know what I mean? Like there's just to kind of, not everything is so bad. And every time I ask the morning question, I always get so many different answers, and people who don't have a robust routine always seem to want to like apologize for it. But I love to highlight that you don't need to have a routine to be successful. Some people do have a routine and that helps them be successful, but most of the time it's the deliberate people who wake up and they have deliberate things that they do. That's the factor. It's not I meditated for 8 minutes and then I did this and then I did the gym and like it's sort of like you said, like that mindset that you get from.
Yeah. I think people have to work with their energy levels and how they work best. So like you said, Austin, you work great at midnight. I've been in bed for 3 hours, so it just is like, but I'm crushing it at 10 a.m. I mean, I think you just have to work within how you best work and not have to abide by any rules that really don't exist. They're all made up. So it's
Right.
just figuring out. And then for me, spaciousness is a huge thing. Like, and when I have space to do what I want, then I'm not stressed out. And I'm also a lot more creative and able to strategize and ideas pop in my head and things like that. If I was completely structured and everything, that just wouldn't happen as well as it does.
You have to
Well,
know
and sometimes,
yourself.
I mean, like there is nothing to do. And I've had to accept that because I am very like go, go, go once I'm up. And in Bend, it's a vacation community. That's where what a lot of those homes and those sales are. And it's winter, things don't move. And so for like 4 to 5 months, there's times where I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And to me, I'm like, I'm not being productive. I'm not running my business. I'm not doing enough. Why is this happening? Why am I failing? And it's like, dude, you crushed it all year. Like you're not failing because you're not actively doing something every second of the day. And it's like for me, I have to get out of my own head and out of my own way and just tell myself, dude, it's okay. Go have fun. If you want to go hang out in Montana with your parents for a month, do it. You can run your business from anywhere. Like there's multiple deals that I've closed and I've never even met the client or set foot in the house. So like for me, that's tough is when I don't have something constantly to do. And setting up those systems and like I use my calendar religiously because I will forget. But yeah, getting up and working on it at your pace, that's the only way to do it. Yeah, you have to get up earlier or maybe stay up later sometimes, but as long as you know you're going to be productive, it's you own the business. So you set the hours and just like have really clear communication, at least with your, like for you, with your team. And for me, I have clear communication with my clients, which is, hey, if I don't text you back or answer your call, I am like in the middle of something. Because generally I'm in front of my computer and I can respond to a text in like 2 seconds. So if I don't, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just actually doing something where I can't respond. And everybody's like, yeah, great, no worries. It's just clear. It's communication really is what it gets down to. But yeah, let yourself not do stuff once in a while. It's healthy.
Well, we were talking about that this morning. I've my brokerage does a Monday morning mastermind every morning at Monday at 8. And we were talking about, a lot of us are kind of, the deals are closing and then they're kind of waiting for their next, sort of ebb and flow. And I'm like, instead of spending that time concerned, where's my next deal? What am I going to do? Like, instead of coming from that energy, enjoy the break because it's not, we don't have a 9 to 5 where we can just turn it off at 4 o'clock. If we're busy, we're in a busy season. If we're not, then enjoy it. Like you said, go see your parents, go to Montana, go take a vacation, go do something, especially if you want your phone to ring, take a vacation, man. Then everybody needs you.
The last time I went to Montana, I was there for 3 weeks. I left and then I got 2 listings signed while I was gone. And it's totally true. Every single time you leave, all of a sudden everybody needs you. So if you're not closing deals or you're not getting business, just say I'm going on vacation and your phone's going to ring and you're going to be like,
I'm unavailable.
bam, let's go. Let's do it.
I've written, I remember writing an inspection objection sitting on my suitcase and like, where was I? I was somewhere in California. I was going to like San Diego or something. And I was like writing an inspection objection on my phone. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, this person hadn't talked to me. I was trying to wrap it up beforehand and of course they weren't able to, but just the name of the game. Awesome.
Well, we do that. Oh, it's just I would just want to add one thing. So
Yeah.
in vacation rentals in our region, it's very, very seasonal. So we have a very high season and we have a very low season. And so knowing that going into it makes it probably easier that we try to keep things going during the off season, but we're also trying to take it at a slower pace. So I call it high season and then improvement season. So during the off season, We're working on those contracts that we wanted to reword. We're working on our marketing. We're working on our website. We're working on our social media. We're getting things done that will move the business forward. We're just not stressing about the bookings coming in or not, because it's just as the time of year it is. I mean, sometimes I stress, my team would probably laugh if I said I don't stress about bookings coming in, but I guess I know that there's not going to be as many bookings in January as there are in July. And so
Right.
I have to, it just is what it is. So what can you do during that time, which is when we're going to work on stuff to improve our business.
I love
Well, and
that.
that high season, low season too, like for us business owners, like I am really, I will admit I'm really good at managing other people's money and telling you all the great things you should do with it. I am terrible at managing my own. So like, you could pull 100 grand in a quarter and you're like, woohoo. And then by the time you get out of your off season, you're like, oh my God, why did I spend all my money? It's, like, so it's that like forward preparing, you're not getting a consistent paycheck. So you have to manage yourself. And I'm so bad about that. I told myself this year, okay, you've been saying this for 4 years. This year, you're going to do it. We'll see. Come talk to me in like March of next year, and we'll see if I actually took my own advice or not.
Well, we had that chat today too, talking about like this is a hard skill. Like most traditional businesses have a CFO that does the finances. It's its own executive position. So like learning this is I think one of the biggest things of, or one of the biggest skills you can learn in the industry, right? Is preparing for that. I mean, that's every business owner. So don't beat yourself up too much. And I know you can do it this year, Austen.
I know, but cars are pretty, and they are a phenomenal write-off.
This is why get you a couple kids or something, and then you have one.
Okay, my son would be he'd be an asshole. He would be a Range Rover driving jerk. Like he'd be super nice, but he would also just be like, F the poor people. Like he would be so mean. He'd be fucking adorable, but he would be so mean.
Oh, where can our listeners find you if they want to connect with you and chat more with Wendy? If they've got Airbnbs they'd love you to manage, or any questions about that, where can they find you?
We're at simpleliferentals.com. That's the website. On Facebook, I think it's at The Simple Life Hospitality. We're on Instagram, The Simple Life Hospitality, I think, or Simple Life Rentals. I'm pretty sure it's the first one. And then my name on Facebook is Wendy Ursis, Yursis Schultz. So I am out there, and yeah, we're doing big things in vacation rentals, being really cutting edge, and hoping to modernize this whole industry, because it is pretty antiquated. A lot of them are old school, and they're really, really leaving a lot of money on the table for their homeowners. And yeah, it's we're here to turn that all around.
Great. Austen, where can our listeners find you if they have questions on Washington or Oregon real estate?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Austen Anderson Realtor, and Austen is Austen. You can also find me on Facebook. I think it shows up as Austen Anderson Engel Volkers, something along those lines. It's super long, but if you just type it in, I'll pop up. You can also just give me a call or shoot me a text, 720-799-5928. And if you have questions on real estate, really anywhere in the country, call Megan or I, because the basic principles are pretty much the same. And I guess Wendy too. Call any of us and we'll be able to help you.
We would love to help. We're awaiting your call right now. Call right now.
We're really good.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.